Bearmarketometer? We're looking at the bonus chart from the weekly S&P 500 chart storm here, and in this chart, using the popular media definition of a bear market as a given stock market or thing being down more than 20%, at this point, 40% of the world's stock markets are in an quote-unquote unofficial bear market. As regular readers or regular viewers will know, I don't really like that arbitrary percentage change definition. Personally, I think bear markets are more of a process than a percentage change, and they depend much more on shifts in underlying business and financial cycles. It's still quite an interesting chart though, nonetheless, in terms of being a breadth indicator. And breadth indicators can be quite useful in generating technical analysis insights. For example, if the indicator is rising, falling, or reaching extremes. So at the moment that it's rising, and I would say it hasn't really reached an extreme yet, tells us about the bearish momentum that is quite clearly evident across global markets, global equity markets in particular. But as for real bear markets, so, getting into this definition, because it's quite important. What is a bear market? It's not, well, as I've alluded to there, it's not necessarily a percentage change, it's more of a process. So in the context of slowing global growth, global monetary policy tightening, and correcting of previous extremes in valuations and sentiment and positioning, the current backdrop that I just described there is very much consistent with what characterizes a global equity bear market. And therein lies actually also the clues for the next steps. To pivot, if I'm going to use that term, to pivot from a bear market to a bull market, all of those things that I just mentioned need to come full circle. So valuations need to get cheap again. The economy needs to actually go into recession to trigger central banks to start easing in response to that. As a reminder, central banks manage the economic cycle, not the market cycle, but of course the market cycle reflects the economic cycle. But also, positioning and sentiment needs to get washed out, and technicals need to ultimately get all washed out as well, but then start to turn up again, and then the macro cycle starts to turn up again, and basically, so on and so forth. That's the whole sort of definition really of the cycles framework, and so that's basically the textbook setup or the idealized framework, but certainly something to think about as the global equity bear market process progresses. So if this was interesting to you, be sure to check out the original post. I'll put the link in the comments as well as the description. And definitely subscribe to the weekly Chartstorm Substack, where you can get this bonus chart as well as 10 other charts every week for free straight to your inbox. So be sure to subscribe to that.